I am showing you how I make my dressing. Everybody likes my dressing. This is basically for my kids, but anybody else who wants to do it. It's very easy and it's perfect every time. First, I bake a large tray of cornbread, and the way I do that is I use my mama's cornbread recipe. It's 2 cups of cornmeal, a cup of flour, 2 eggs, a half a teaspoon salt, a tablespoon of baking powder, and it calls for 2 tablespoons of oil. But what I did was I had already boiled my chicken, so I used a little bit, 2 tablespoons of the chicken fat, skimmed off the top for that, and you mix it together and bake it at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And then what you want to do is you set it out overnight, cut it up, set it out overnight, and let it dry out some. And then today, as you can see, it gets real dry, so it soaks up the moisture real good. I've been putting most of this in my food processor to mush it up. As you can see in here, I've got it in here. Now, yesterday I also boiled a couple chickens, not baking hens, just regular frying chickens, and cut them up in pieces. It doesn't matter what kind of pieces, and just put it in big pots with salt and pepper and bring it up to a boil and let it simmer until the chicken falls off the bone. Then you let it cool, take the meat pieces out, separate the meat from the bones and the fat and the skin, and just keep the meat. And then you keep all your broth and put that in the refrigerator. And as you can see here, it makes this skim of fat that's on here, and you can take that off. I skimmed a lot off yesterday. But then today, when I've crumbled up my cornbread into a big bowl, and then you take 1 whole onion, chopped fine, about a half of a head of celery, chopped fine, and I like to use all the leaves that are on that celery stalk and all the middle pieces. They just have a really nice celery flavor to it. And I also put celery salt, about a teaspoon, and sage. Even though you don't like, some people don't like sage. Tom doesn't like sage, but I don't go overboard with my sage, and if it doesn't have sage in it, to me, it's not dressing. Anyway, so I put that in my big bowl here, crumbled up my cornbread, and then I start ladling in chicken broth. And what you want to do, I do that today and let it sit in the refrigerator overnight, or you can do it earlier in the day, like on Thanksgiving. But you want to make sure it's real soupy in here, because when it bakes, as it bakes, it's gonna get drier. And tomorrow, before I pour it in the baking pans and bake at 350 for at least 30 minutes, you just need to test it and see when the top starts getting brown. But before I pour it in the pans tomorrow, I'll crack a couple eggs and mix in there real good, so that gives a little bit of, it'll rise some. But that's all I wanted to show you, and you'll have a great Thanksgiving dressing. This is going to the church this Sunday. But y'all enjoy. Thanks. Bye-bye.